Hi there, this is Lee Thurburn, and in this video we're going to talk about how to use the direct rental module where you can rent cars directly to customers without needing to use a service like Turo or any of the other services that are out there. So when you log in, you're going to land on the dashboard as always, and what you're going to want to do is you want to go to, first of all, you've got to do a little bit of setup. And so I'm going to show you the setup, but the first thing I want to do is give you a reference point. So I'm going to go ahead and open the Direct Rental Tools section. I'm going to click on Create a Reservation. I'm going to show you what the process is going to look like, and then we're going to go through the process. So when you click on Create a Reservation, of course, the Create a Reservation form page comes up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so this is larger and easy to see. All right, so the first thing you'll do is select a customer. So what's going to happen is the system is going to look into the CRM database for a list of customers. Here I've got 3. If you already know if you already have the customer in your database, you just select the customer. If you don't, you go ahead and start typing the customer's name like Donald Trump, and then you add the customer. So I click on Add Customer, and that'll take me into the Add Customer routine, which is specific for rentals, but it also adds the customer directly to your database. So we'll add a customer real quick. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. I've already added this customer before, so we'll just go ahead and put in, say, donald@trump.com, and then we'll put in a driver's license number and a state, Florida, and then we would upload the photos at the front and back. Now they'd have to email these to you. We do not currently have a public face interface where the customer can upload the photos. So they email it to you, and then you just upload it from your computer. Then you put in the insurance information. And you can add the insurance card. Again, have them take a photo and send it to you. And then you go ahead and click Save. Now at this point, you've got a customer added for Donald Trump, so you go ahead and click Donald Trump. And if you needed to edit the information to make sure you had it all, you could click Edit Primary Driver. Now if you want to add an additional driver, you basically do the same thing. Then you come down and you select a vehicle. You'll see I have 2 vehicles available. And then you choose the start time, the end time, choose the location, add a rental discount, tell Stripe what the payment date is, add extra services, attach a contract file, and then you have an invoice that you create. So I just showed you how to add a primary driver, but that's one of the things you want to do, but you also need to make sure that all of your vehicles are correctly added. So first, if I go to Host Tools and I come down to Vehicle Fleet, I'm going to get a list of all of the vehicles that I have. And so I can come over and click on Edit, say, of this vehicle named Elvis. And that's going to bring up the Edit Vehicle Details page. Now, if you want to, you can add a photo. I have not yet done that. But I'm going to scroll down, and you're going to see that where it says Enable Direct Rental, it's not turned on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and I'm going to set up a standard day rate. I'll put $65 as my standard day rate. I'm going to click Save Changes. And now I have added that vehicle to the list of vehicles that are available for direct rentals. Next, I'm going to want to make sure that I have all of the subordinate details for direct rentals filled out. I'm going to start with sales taxes. So you probably, most people do, that rent cars, live in a state that has a vehicle rental tax rate. Here in Texas, we have a vehicle rental tax rate of 10%. We also have a sales tax rate for cars that have been purchased of 6.25 and a retail sales tax rate of 8.25%. So you just click the Add Sales Tax and add whatever taxes are applicable to your state where you are, or states. You might be on the border between states like Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. You might need to add both. No, extra services. These would be things like additional fees that you would charge for things like child safety seats. Now, there are two different invoices, generally speaking, that you can send. There's always going to be the rental invoice, the reservation, and then there will be, most times, there'll be a second invoice for after or additional trip fees. Either one of those can have most of these services added. Now, you can't add additional miles to the original reservation, but you can do that for the additional fees. We'll get to that in just a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you, so we have an additional fees. This is a calculated amount that interacts with the pre and post trip checklist. I'll show you that in a moment. And then you have fees for things like child safety seats, cleaning fees, smoking fees, refueling fees, and so on. So you just add these to the list of extra services so that you have them ready when you make a rental. You also want to go to locations, and you want to make sure that you've added locations. I've added 2 locations, one for Dallas Love Field and one for Plano. The Plano one is where my default location is, and the Dallas Love Field is an optional for which I charge a delivery fee unless there's a long-term rental. Those are within your control, of course. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the booking calendar. So when you add a vehicle to the booking calendar, it shows up in the booking calendar. We just added Elvis. It wasn't there before. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Now, let's say that you added a vehicle and you wanted to customize. So the darker tint at the top here on the day of the week is for weekends. I consider 3-day weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then you have a 4-day week. And prices typically go up a little on the weekend, down a little during the week. So if you want to adjust them individually, you can put in individual pricing. And then you might want to make it a little bit lower on, say, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. You can adjust this however you want to. We do not have an algorithm in place at the moment for mass adjustments. That will be coming along shortly, but for now, you just go in a few weeks in advance and you customize the pricing for the vehicles. Now, what will happen when a reservation is made is the system will take, say, these 3 days, if you're doing a reservation for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we'll take those 3 daily rates, add them together, divide by 3, and that'll be your average daily rate. And that'll be how the calculation for a reservation daily rate is done. Now, obviously, you have a list of reservations if you already have them, and then you have create a reservation. So I'm going to go back to create a reservation, and we're just going to go ahead. It didn't save that one because wasn't really ready to save it, but I'm going to go ahead and click select a customer. We'll do Donald Trump again. Now I'm going to edit primary driver information. And you'll see that when the edit or add rental customer data screen comes up, it is preloaded with information that already existed in the CRM database. If you're adding a new customer, you'll just have blank information and you'll fill it out, and it'll of course get saved to the database. Now, we do have information from the prior rental that this customer had. And you'll see that there's a lot of data here that can be collected, including photos for the front and back of the license, and all the insurance company information, as well as a photo of the ID card. So that's the information that's in the detail of the customer information when you go to edit the customer information. Now, this is saved, of course, for the reservation, and it's permanently attached to this reservation. So when the reservation screen comes up, you can add an additional driver, and again, it's just like the primary driver. You select from the database, or when you type the name in, if that record doesn't exist, you add it on the fly. Then you select a vehicle. So we'll select Elvis, and you set a reservation date and time. So I'll go ahead and just start this reservation tomorrow, and we'll set it for 10 a.m. And then we'll end it a week. Basically, it'll be a 7-day rental, so we'll end it a week later. And now I'm going to select my pickup and return location, so we'll just make it Dallas Love Field. I'll give a 5% discount for a 1-week rental. Oops, that's 50%. Don't want to do that. I'm going to tell Stripe to send the invoice immediately by putting today's date in the system. If you don't, Stripe may start it several days later, and you may have to wait for to get paid. And let's add some extra services. We'll add a service for child safety seat and for delivery to Love Field Airport. And then as we come down, you'll see that we have all of these things saved. Okay, so and it does a nice little calculation. It shows the rental rate times the average daily rate, the discount of 5%, the sales tax on top of the subtotal. Then it shows the vehicle additional total rental fees for the vehicle, and then it shows the added services, child safety seat, delivery to Love Field. It adds sales tax to those things, and then you have your total. Now you can make whatever additional comments you want, and then you create the reservation. Now the system is noticing that there's some primary driver information that's missing. So you can either proceed anyway, knowing what is missing, or you can edit the primary driver information. It'll take you back to the primary driver information screen. And as you scroll down, you'll see, oh, there's a highlighted red field. So license photos need to be updated. Oh, here's an insurance company field. Okay, so we're going to just skip that because we don't actually have anything I want to specifically upload, but I could, and you get the idea. We don't need to actually upload that data. So I'll go ahead and save it, and then this time when I go to actually create the reservation, I'm just going to go ahead and bypass that alert, proceed anyway. Reservation was created successfully. So now that reservation has been added to the reservation list. And it is now loading us into the reservation where we can do a number of things. We're actually in the View Direct Reservation. It's given it a reservation transaction or reservation ID number. And now you can either go create a trip checklist. You can edit the reservation. You can send it to the customer. You send it via Stripe, or you can add additional trip fees as an invoice. So I want to scroll down, and I want to just show you that it has your primary and additional driver information. It has the details of the reservation, date and time, start and stop, pickup return location, vehicle, and calculated total number of miles included. Then there's the reservation fee calculation, the reservation extra services calculation, the reservation fee total, the memo, and then down below we have a section that does not get sent to the customer. This is the information that we have on the reservation, insurance and financial information. And you can, of course, have notes regarding communications that you've had with a customer for whatever reason that you might want to have notes. Okay, so at this point now, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to go ahead and send the customer an invoice. Now this is, you can think of this as a reservation confirmation email. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a different browser, and I'm going to go to my emails, and that reservation should arrive momentarily. You know what? I just realized I sent that reservation to an email address that doesn't exist. So let me go back over here and let's edit. See, I sent it to Donald@Trump.com. That's not going to work. So let's come back over here and change the email address. So we're going to go ahead and edit primary driver information, and I'm going to change that to info@CarFleet.Tools.com so that I can show you the it coming in. So we'll go, or not CarFleet.Tools.com, but info@CarFleet.Tools. Okay, we'll go ahead and save the reservation. And now when I click the send, okay, so we're create reservation. Now we have to, I go back to go ahead and create reservation, proceed anyway. I'm just kind of going back through the steps to get back to where I can send an email. All right, and it still shows Donald@DonaldTrump.com, and that's because it's pulling the data from the CRM system. So I'm going to go down to the CRM database. I'm going to go to the search records, and coming in here to Donald Trump, I'm going to edit that record, and I'm going to change the email to info@CarFleet.Tools, and we're going to save the changes. Now I'm going to come back over to the direct rentals. I'm going to go to the reservation list. I'm going to go to the Donald Trump reservation. And now it's got the correct email, so I'm going to go ahead and send it to customer. It says sending. Now it's sent. Now we're going to go over to the email account. Here we are. Reservation for Donald Trump. Okay, so you can see that we have the customer information, we have all the details, we have the calculations, we have all this stuff down here. So we have everything sent to the customer. And this is basically a reservation confirmation email. Now, I'm going to go back over to the system, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and send via Stripe. So, again, the payment date is today's date, so I'll go ahead and send invoice. So what's happening now is the system is reaching out to Stripe, creating an email or an invoice on Stripe and sending to the customer, Donald Trump, at info@CarFleet.Tools, sending a Stripe invoice to that customer. And so this is going to be the page the customer can come to, but first let's do this. Let's come back over here, and now we're going to look at what was sent to the customer. So here's a reservation confirmation. This is a reservation email from me, JubileeAutoRentals.com, which is the account that I'm using. If it was from you, it would be from your email address. I can click the Pay Now, and I can go to a Stripe Secure Checkout. Or I can look at this other invoice, which comes actually from Stripe. So this one is coming from Stripe. Whoops. And it's what I just saw. So if I come back to the reservation confirmation from Jubilee Auto Rentals and I click on Pay Now, it takes you to the Stripe invoice page where the ability to actually pay Stripe exists. Now, if I wanted to go over to Stripe invoices and look at, actually I'm on the wrong one. I'm going to go to my Stripe account, and I'm going to look at my Stripe account for invoices. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. And it's refreshing now. It takes a second. And you can see the invoice for Donald Trump is shown up here at the top as an open invoice. Okay, so now I'm going to come back over to the CarFleet.Tools page. Let's click on the correct link here. Get this up. CarFleet.Tools page. It says Stripe invoice was sent to the customer. So now we have all of that sent to the customer. So at this point, we're waiting on the customer to go ahead and pay. And of course, you're going to want to be able to see that visually in the reservations. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Direct Rental Tools. We're going to come to the reservation list, and you'll see that payment is pending. Now you can click here to go look at the reservation, or you can click on the reservation ID number and go to the reservation. And at this point now, we're going to pretend that the trip is over, and we're going to go through the process of doing a trip checklist. So when you log in on your phone to CarFleet.Tools and log into your account, you literally can click on this same button from the dashboard, which is real easy to do, and it's going to launch the trip checklist. And so I'm going to change the size of the screen here down to what the phone would look like, and I'm going to minimize everything else behind it so that you're looking at really only the phone in the screen. So when you go into your trip checklist, you have the ability to do a number of things. First of all, you can take photos with your phone, and you can actually either take photos, or you can upload a series of photos you've already taken of the vehicle from your phone. No photos have been uploaded yet, but I can go ahead and take photos. So I'll just go ahead and pretend like I'm taking photos, and I will upload a picture of a vehicle. There's no limit to the number that you can upload, except for what is available in your storage area. So this actually loads this into the storage area, and it'll take a second because that's a pretty big photo. And we'll come back and look at the photo in a second. You can put a caption. You can type this in, of course, on your phone. And then it shows some basic information about the trip. And then it shows how many miles are included, the miles driven, and additional miles. Well, you're going to record your initial trip odometer and then your fuel levels. So we'll put full, and then the condition, if you want to. And then at the end of the trip, you'll record the ending odometer. So we'll make it 125 to start, 127 to end. So they went, 2,000 miles. And we'll just say they returned it full in perfect condition. And so then you're going to go ahead and scroll up to the top, and we're going to have to swipe to the right so we can get here. Click the Save Checklist. Okay, the photo is still loading because it was a big photo. Anyway, so now we've actually added the some information via the pre-post trip checkout. So now if I come back in to the system, and I'm in the reservation for the system, I can go look at the trip checklist, but and if we want to, we can click on the trip checklist to see if the photo has been loaded yet. I'm not sure if it has. It may take a moment to actually get there. But anyway, so you'll be able to see the photos, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But you can also, so after you have uploaded the or done the trip checklist data, you can actually at the end of the trip add additional trip fees. So you click the additional trip fees invoice, and that'll take you to an invoice where you can add additional trip fees. So it's going to automatically calculate the excess miles. So here's the basic information: Donald Trump, trip dates, invoice date, due date is today. Oh, actually, you can change the due date to whenever you want to. But so it's got $198 in there. So why is that? Well, that's because the additional mileage has already been calculated. So it knows that you went, and I'm going to expand this out, but so it knows how many miles you, so it knows how many miles or excess miles based upon the pre-post checklist odometer readings, and it calculates the miles. And of course, if there's a sales tax, it doesn't know what the sales tax rate is because it doesn't know what state you're in, and bottom line in this is the only invoice that you really need to do that for, but or a line item that you need to do that for. But so you go ahead and put that in. That calculates the sales tax on the additional mileage, and then you can add extra services. So let's say that on this invoice you had a cleaning fee. And so you have a cleaning fee. Maybe there's a sales tax on it. Maybe there's not. You can just leave it off if you don't want to. So maybe there's a retail sales tax. So you can add another item, another additional service. So maybe there was gas fee. So we have a refueling convenience fee of $10. And then we're going to have, maybe there was $12 and change of gas needed. So we'll add the actual gas cost. Okay, and since tax is already included in that, that doesn't need to be added. And so now you can see we're at $402.55 for your extra services. So we go ahead and click Save Change. And now I'm going to go ahead and click Send with Stripe. So we're now invoicing the customer immediately for the additional fees that are associated with the trip. So it's still in the process of sending, and now it has sent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over, and I'm going to go look at what was sent in, what arrived from Stripe. And here it is, new invoice from Jubilee. And this is for your additional fees. And you can see all the additional fees are listed. And so here you've got a Stripe invoice for additional fees. And if I go over to Stripe and look at invoices, and I refresh this page. So it took a moment for the page to refresh, but you'll see that the additional services or additional fees invoice for $402.55 was loaded into Stripe, and of course you already have seen that it was sent to the customer. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring this back into focus here, get it within the window so you can see all of what's going on. So that basically is it. What we've done is we have gone through the following, just a quick recap. We have added a vehicle from our fleet to the list of vehicles that have a, so we went to Host Tools and we added a vehicle from our fleet to the list of vehicles that qualify for direct rentals, and at the same time we set a standard daily rate. Then we went into the direct rental tools and we added sales tax, we added extra services, we added locations, we adjusted the fees on the booking calendar, we created a reservation, and now if I go to the reservation list, you're going to see in the reservation list, and I'm going to stretch this out a little bit, but you're going to see in the reservation list that we have the original invoice and we have the additional trip fees invoice. And if you want to see every invoice of all types, you can also go to the View All Invoices, because there is another invoicing system that is available for your use if you decide you want to turn it on, where you can send out invoices for things like consulting fees or whatever. They don't have to be to people that have reservations. So there you go. That's a pretty comprehensive overview of how the direct rentals tools work in conjunction with the CRM and the accounting system that we have here for CarFleet.Tools. I hope you found that interesting. And of course, if you have questions or maybe even suggestions for improvements, I would appreciate hearing them. If you have an account, you can always just go to General and go to Support, and you can send me a question or send me a request, a suggestion for an improvement. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking to you in person if you want to give me a call. Thanks. Bye.